Welcome back to Regaining the Balance. This is Matt. Today is going to be kind of a personal video here. I'm going to tell you guys a story about something that I experienced that was life-changing, to say the least, not just for me, but for the other person in this story. Today is also the 1 year anniversary of this channel, and I just passed 1,000 subscribers a few days ago. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for the past year, and I hope that my content continues to interest you and that you get something out of it. Other than that, today is going to be a personal story about forgiveness and the power of spiritual forgiveness, and the idea that one can be religious, spiritual, and have their nose in a spiritual scripture for their entire lives and completely miss the point of what the spiritual scriptures are trying to teach you on how to apply these things to your life. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that our various priest classes of our various religions across time have basically been there to keep some of this information from us, while thumbing their nose at the rest of us. So, but today, this is really going to be about a story about forgiveness, about love, about self-realization in a lot of ways. So let me get into this. And as you guys can see, you're going to be, I'm just going to have a various shots of the chicks that I raised this summer as my background. So it'll be a serious conversation with a very cute background of young chickens. So let's get into this. I was in a relationship for 3 years with a woman who I'm going to call Zoe. Zoe and I had a quite intense relationship. We went to lots of concerts together. Music and live music was a big thing for us. We would actually travel across the country in different states to go and check stuff out, go to big music festivals, the whole 9 yards. We had a lot of fun. But the thing is that she had serious issues with anxiety to the point where she sometimes was very suicidal. And that was a big issue and that caused untold amounts of problems in our relationship together. It was intense. It was great. We had so much fun. We really enjoyed each other. But that aspect seems to derail things in a very quick fashion. And her anxiety was such that it was almost like bipolar, where everything would be fine 1 second and then a completely disaster the next. And that's the reaction would be exactly that. And there were moments in our relationship while we were hanging out, and she would tell me the next day, I almost did this to commit suicide. And I'm just thinking in my head, oh my God, this girl needs so much help. I don't know what to do. But the interesting thing is that when she met me in my life, I had already spent quite a few years in some serious meditation time. By the time we started dating, I think I was maybe 6-7 years of worth of meditation. And I started my meditation or learning I had to teach myself because I unfortunately never had a teacher or guru or anything like that. I wish I had somebody find me, because I've had things happen to me my whole life, and it would have been interesting to have somebody recognize that and help me develop those things. But I was on my own. So I learned how to pray on the rosary, and that really opened up huge spiritual doors for me, because I learned how to meditate, I should say, using the rosary. With prayer, meditation, kind of the same thing, except for not really, and I'll get into that later. And so when we met, I was already very much this kind of person. I was already very halfway through my searching and my seeking and trying to experience life in various different ways, try to experience spirituality in various different ways. Some of it natural, some of it not so natural. But in the end, what happened is that she ended up moving about 20 hours away from me, and I had to travel to go see her every once in a while. And our relationship was a long-term relationship and tried to make it work. And the last time I visited her was during my birthday, and during that week, She acted very strange, very distant, all these different things. And until there was one point in time during my visit, which was about a week and a half, something like that, she was cooking something on the stove and a grease fire. She, the grease caught fire in her house. And I was on the other side of our apartment and I saw it happening. And I saw her first reaction was filling up a pot of water and she was about to throw it on the fire. And I came running in the room with like almost ninja like reactions. And I slapped as hard as I could. I slapped the pot of water out of her hand, the opposite direction of the stove, which slammed up against the wall and like made a huge mess. Scared the living crap out of her. I ignored what she had to say and went and turned off the heater, put the pan on a different thing, and the fire went out on its own, which is, by the way, that's how you do it, okay? Never, ever throw a water on a grease fire because what happens is that it literally explodes. You can burn your house down, half of your house caught on fire within 30 seconds with a grease fire. Not to mention yourself. There's a lot of people who've gotten horrible wounds from being burned by grease fire. So in essence, she was very mad at me and for doing that, but then realized afterwards when I showed her what happens to grease fires, she realized I literally had saved her life. And so her attitude got better for the rest of the week. But she was still distant. But in the end, I figured there was something wrong. There was something going on. And I kind of left it. And I would probe here and there, but not too hard. But then when I went home, I started probing a little harder. And then it took a couple more weeks until I finally got her to admit that she was seeing somebody else and behind my back the whole time while we were supposed to be together. And that really hurt me a lot. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't ready for that kind of heartbreak. And then a couple weeks later, she's supposed to go visit her family, and I would have been passing by me, and I thought maybe it would be cool if we could just like meet up with each other on the way. And she told me no, she's going to go a different route or something like that, which I thought was strange because that's not the way you get to her place. And so she blew me off there, and then wouldn't respond to my phone calls. Would give me single text responses, and then I realized there's something going on here as well. And then she finally answered her phone on the way home, and I could hear a male voice in the background. And I asked, was that him? She said yes. And so I realized at that point that she had brought her new boyfriend to meet her family while she was still telling me that she was together with me. And so that right there was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was devastated emotionally by that betrayal. And it just really, it broke my heart big time. And it made me extremely angry. And I was, I was going to just tear her apart in the phone call, but I realized like this isn't the time or the place. So I said, look, well, let's talk about this in a few days when you get back home on Monday. And so we set up a time. And on Monday, I went to work and I was pissed. And I was continuously to get more and more angry and more frustrated and more just hateful, let's just say, towards my ex-girlfriend. And I was thinking about all the things all day long about what I could say to make her feel like a complete piece of garbage and to treat her exactly the way I was feeling at that moment in time. And it got so bad that on my way home, my anger and my hatred took it really was, I can only say like kinetic, static energy around me. Every electronic around me that was within a couple of feet refused to work. My phone wouldn't work, it wouldn't send text, I couldn't call. I would turn it off and turn it back on. My radio wouldn't work, nothing would work, which was making me even angrier driving through traffic and going home. And when I finally get home, my computer is malfunctioning, my cell phone's still not working. I eventually grab a landline and I'm able to call. Now, in the conversation, it starts off pretty, she knows she's in trouble type of thing, kind of attitude, how she's kind of her tone in the conversation. And I'm really hopped up just trying to keep myself from blowing my stack too fast and getting too angry and too, belligerent. And, but I was ready. I was ready to do exactly that. And so I had asked her a question. I forget exactly what it was. And I asked her something about like, I don't remember. But as I was listening to her, she said something in what she was talking to me that triggered me. And at that moment, I was right about to just launch into this hateful, just barrage of things, just ways that I could just destroy her emotionally, mentally, in any way I could possibly do. And in that moment, everything that I was looking at just disappeared, and in its place was this crazy vision where I was watching various elements and scenes of Zoe's life play themselves out over and over and over and over again. As a child, as she grew up, her interactions with her family and friends, and this whole idea that, this person has been subjected to an unending tirade, let's just say, or let's an unending waterfall of negative reinforcement most of her life. And I was right about to add the exact same thing to something that she has had to deal with, and the reason why she has become such a very unstable person in her life, and her anxiety was completely out of control because she was literally living in this kind of guilt bubble where everyone always has negative things to say. So therefore, that's how she always saw herself. And then it all came, the vision all rounded itself off and essentially reflected right back on me. And then I realized that all of this is just the way we all live our lives. And I could pick out 1,000 different instances where I have this exact same instances happening to me, and always with the people who you love and trust. And they don't do these things on purpose, which is something I had to realize for myself. But in that moment, I realized that I couldn't do what I was going to do. And I decided at that point, once the vision kind of, because it was fast, it was as if time stopped. And I saw all of these things, which would have taken hours to watch, in a split second. And then I was right back in front of my desk with the phone in my hand, and I hear her say, "Are you still there?" And I say, "Yes." And I take a deep breath. And as I did that, everything, all that hate that was, floating around me, all that anger, it just went away. And I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly what to say. It was as if something was speaking through me, telling me through that vision, like, this is not a choice you have to make. And I decided at that moment, I said, yeah, I'm going to forgive you for everything that has happened here, but I want to help you get better. And so I'm going to find you a doctor, somebody who, a good doctor that deals in psychotherapy and nutrition and also, is an actual doctor as well. And I did find one, and she did go to him, to her credit. And to this day, she's now graduated, has a great career. Her anxiety is almost completely gone. She never thinks about suicide. She never thinks about these things ever again. And it was because of what happened to me that day and the decisions I made based on the things that I was shown in this vision. And the fact that in many ways, when it was turned on me as if it was a mirror, I understood a much bigger understanding about what forgiveness really truly means, and the opportunity one has when actually one does forgive. And I don't mean, when I say forgiveness, it's not like I forgive you because I'm a better person than you type of thing. It has to do with, and this is part of what this vision really was teaching me, okay? It has to do with the fact that forgiveness is like quantum forgiveness, okay? It's the understanding that this karma that I watched in this vision was my karma as much as it was her karma, or her sins were as much as my sins, if you want to put it that way. They're the same thing, and I will show that in future videos. But to look at it that way, it made me completely turn everything about my perceptions, and because what happened there was nothing less than miraculous, and I'm not joking. Okay, this woman threatened to commit suicide so many times when we were together, and then after all this happened, it changed completely. And this is a person who told herself all the time that nothing will ever change, and now she knows that she was always lying to herself. But it took something like this traumatic thing that really happened to both of us to, at least for me, to affect a change. And if it hadn't have been for the fact that I received that vision of this girl's life and all the negativity that had caused her to become the person that she was, I would never have known what to do. I would have just done the same thing I would have always done: selfish self-preservation, and I probably would have done exactly what I planned to do. But it was those years, all those years of spending time with, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, in meditation, that prepared me for something like that. Because if I hadn't done that, that would have freaked me out. I don't know what I would have thought about something like that. I don't know how I would have reacted, but I was ready for that kind of thing. And I used it to the best possible way that I could. And in the fact that I was able to change my mind and change the very course of Zoe's life afterwards, is a testament to the fact that you aren't alone. And that, this idea that when people pray to God, God doesn't respond to them. Well, maybe it's because people don't know how to pray to God. Maybe people don't know that the meditation, the actual, like as if you were spending time on the couch, or whatever, you're spending quality time meditating and understanding, like deconstructing your physical self and the ideas of the things that you think you are, and the ideas of how you think you should live life, because none of these things are original. They've all been basically given to you. And most of us don't even ask questions that even bring that up. So it's like, where do we go? And I was ready for that at that moment. And because of that, she is definitely, she's a totally different person. And, I have great respect for God, Jesus, whatever you guys want to call it. It's not... It's amazing when you start to tap in, and you start to become, let's just say you allow yourself to understand that divinity is all over the place. Things in your life will change. You will have great things that will happen to you, but it takes time. And people, especially in the West, they want things right away. And I hate to say it, but a lot of people have wasted their lives looking at the wrong thing, and or they spend too much of their time having their noses in too many scriptures and arguing about what this is and what that is and what this is and what that is, and then eventually killing each other because we don't like each other's religion or what we think. It's all just ridiculous. And none of those things are things that will set you free. As Jesus does say, the truth will set you free. Yes, I mean, it will. But what is the truth? And that's the problem, is that people assume that the truth is only in the verse of these scriptures. And I don't care what scriptures you're talking about, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, the Vedas, whatever, all of them are written in a way that they're not outwardly telling you, this is what you do, this is what you do. Okay. And it's very, it's sneaky in a lot of ways. And it's sneaky because they teach you to basically be a good follower, but they don't teach you how to connect. And that's a big problem. And that's why a lot of people bounce around with religions and become atheists and things like that, because they experience nothing. And that's, I mean, if you have a religion that's telling you this and this will happen if you're faithful enough, but nothing happens to the majority of people, what's the problem? It's the method. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, is because this channel isn't just about like the history and whatnot. That's actually kind of a side benefit, because of the fact that I realized when I set this channel up, I'm going to need to provide like historical context and various other things and some kind of evidence. And I've tried to do that the best I can. A lot of it's kind of just dubious, sources as it is anyways. But all of history is dubious. So I'm not so worried about that kind of thing. A lot of scholars will probably like scoff at me, and I don't have a problem with that. But most people will probably scoff at the story because they won't believe that somebody would have had a vision like this and that it would have done something. But I'm telling you right now that I experienced a genuine miracle in this sense. Is that a moment of my life could have that moment, had I gone for what I wanted to do, which was based off of my emotional reaction would have taken me down a much darker road. And I didn't, because I was blessed with the vision of this person suffering. And this is the big clue here, okay, guys? It's about suffering. It's all about suffering. Everything is suffering in this life, which is why sometimes you'll hear me refer to hell being the life that we live in today, because this is where all the suffering happens. And and I have found throughout my life, and the next 10 years after that, I have gone leaps and bounds in my spiritual development, and I could not be any happier than I am today. I mean, I could be very much happier, but I have realized things about my spirituality and my spiritual growth. And one of the things that I accepted many years ago is that, you know what, this is going to take time, and it's going to be a step-by-step process, and I can't rush it. And the things I have experienced since then are nothing short than incredible. And I am looking forward to sharing with you guys some of these things, some of the ways that in which I came to these parts of my life and these revelations, so to speak. And then other ways where there are lots of different ways of being able to tap into this idea of being spiritual, of having connection with God, no matter, again, which one you're talking about, of which religion. Because there's been a lot of damage done by the priest class. There's been a lot of damage done by these charlatans out there that push a fake new age type of thing. And then there's people who use a lot of the new age stuff is using really old knowledge and then trying to repackage it into a modern version, which is why none of that stuff ends up working out. I'm going to do a whole video on this probably tomorrow, because this is a subject that I think people they need to wrap their head around. Because I'll deal with that on another video. But there's a lot to learn in life, guys. And I'm going to tell you right now is that this experience that I had with my heart being ripped out from my chest and the betrayal and all these things, as hard as that was to deal with, and as painful as that was, I am so thankful that it all happened, because it was a moment in which I had a choice, and I made it, and I had a little help from the divine in this one, and all I can tell you is that the miraculous result was that one person changed the very course and nature of their thinking in their lives, and the other one continued to grow as a spiritual person and to tap deeper into myself, and to learn more and to experience more. And there's so much to share, but I just want to tell everyone that none of these things are out of your reach. They're all right there. It's all inside of you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, is 100% a true statement. But it takes time and effort and love and patience, all those things, to slowly tap into that, okay? Or as yogis would say, is to uncoil the karma of your kundalini. And, that's going to be something that will be played. That idea is going to play itself out a lot in coming videos. So I just wanted to bare my soul a little bit to you guys, because this is kind of a special day. It's the anniversary of the channel, and the passing of the monumental 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to all of you guys that have listened to me rant. And I hope that, I truly hope and honestly wish that people do get something out of something that I say, something that I do, something that I share. If it helps one person, then it's all been worth it. All the time I've spent talking into this microphone and sharing things with you guys. I love you all very much, and we all have a very special place in the cosmos, and we need to realize that. Unfortunately, our society and many of our religions do not teach us this kind of stuff. But I want to be somebody who does bring that kind of information to you, because life is so much more amazing when you look at it and you experience it in this way versus the way that you're essentially taught from the very beginning. So if you enjoyed the story and you appreciate the fact that I shared something personal with you, please hit the like button. I usually say share it if you want to or whatever else. Obviously I poured myself kind of out there. It's going to be on the internet. It doesn't really matter. You can share it if you'd like. It doesn't bother me at all. But people will definitely scoff at me. People will say things in the comments. I don't care. I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't care about any of those things, because the only thing I care about is what happened to the people that this experience, affected. And there's no question that it's just the complete life-changing events. So, I think we all have these things, and I'm sorry, I know that we all have these things in our lives. Depending on how we deal with them, is really telling us where we are in a lot of ways in our spiritual journey, or we're not, let's just say. So that being said, again, I appreciate you guys listening to this, and hopefully you don't think I'm too crazy afterwards. Much love, and I will see you very soon with some very, very provocative videos.